My name is Susan Longley. I'm the Waldo County Judge of Probate. I am not here to give you legal advice. I'm here as somebody who has been a teacher for 20 years, and I was the kid in school who was always playing school. So I'm a teacher. That's how I came into the world. So all this important legal information, I want to share it with you and help you and tell you that you can do it. We have these forms. If you want to hire a lawyer, I recommend you hire a lawyer. Most people in this age of do-it-yourself, self-help days, and a fair number of people think they cannot afford a lawyer. At the very least, there are these forms that I pulled from online and in the statute books and at a bar seminar that are basically standard Maine forms that try to pull in all the possible scenarios so that you can choose the options that you like and don't choose the options you don't want. And as I've said I've done probate basics workshops throughout towns in my county, Waldo County, and there have been excellent conversations. And what I say often is, something is better than nothing. If you don't have any paperwork and you can't afford a lawyer, there are these forms that I'll walk you through to help you understand. And not that it's the ideal to do it yourself, but you can do it yourself, and something's better than nothing. And I'll repeat again and again, if you can get lawyer help, you'll get it tailor-made to your needs. You'll be going to a tailor skilled in asking the right questions. If you can't afford that situation or opt not to do that, something is better than nothing, and these forms are available. Okay? And again, I'll repeat at the beginning and as often as I can, please don't consider me to be your lawyer. I'm here just to share helpful information about the forms. And the reason is, it's a huge responsibility to become somebody's lawyer. And the lawyer is basically taking a person from the hand individually from the get-go, from the start to the finish. And I just don't know, we're just not creating a lawyer-client relationship. It's something short of that. And I want to make sure you all know that, okay? And I'll probably pass something around before you go to just say to make sure you know that, okay? Okay, so we're starting with advanced directives for medical care. And the first, let me say also that it looks scary. It's 5 or 6 or 7 pages. You can get it at your hospitals. You can get it online. You can get it in the statute books. And it's not that hard. The first page explains the whole thing. The good news is, remember how some of us used to do living wills and powers of attorney? This is all in one. And part 1 is basically, as you can see on the first page, it says what's part 1, what's part 2, what's part 3. Part 1 is decisions for your medical care. Part 2 is instructions for, it's your living will. Part 2 is your living will. Part 3 is if you want to donate organs. Okay, simple so far. And part 4 is if you want, you can designate a physician. Okay, simple in the abstract. And then we read paragraph by paragraph, and I can warn you and tell you that within the first half hour I'm going to spot one yawn. And don't worry about it. People, this is hard. It's important, but it's hard. It's emotional. It's our end of life. It's dealing with people we love. It's making decisions about who do we give powers to when we don't want to choose between children or siblings, and it's a delicate subject, and it's also legalese. So if I don't see a yawn within a half hour, we're not working hard enough, okay? So don't be afraid to yawn. I won't take it personally. Are we ready to dive into this? So part 1, as I told you, was where you designate someone as your agent to help you make decisions for medical care. First question I always get in these groups is, can you have more than one person? And what I say is yes. And you can say, you're the one giving this power away. You're called the principal. And you can say both or all 3 always have to act together, or any one of them acting alone can act with sole authority. This document walks you through that. The hard thing is choosing somebody. If you have someone in your life that you can trust with your life, and you know that you can give them all the powers in the world and you can make it effective immediately. If you're one of those lucky people, you're golden, because you can just, as I provide you with all the options, you can say yes, 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 and then you'll talk about it with that person, and you know that that person won't run around and exploit the opportunity. So if you've got someone you can trust, you're very, very lucky. Most times we do. There's always the bad case scenario where somebody has an ulterior motive, and so this document is designed to try to make it so that if you don't have that person you can trust, you can pull back and make it effective only at a certain date in the future, and you can limit the power you give them. Make sense? So if you've got someone you can trust, you can breathe a sigh of relief, but do have the conversation. People who work in hospice, they say what they find, what they value most is when they get families who have had conversations about real life situations. And I can tell you, when you're with a doctor and they're saying, what did this person want? If one person or two persons can pipe in and say, I talked with mom or dad about this, they didn't want to talk about it, I pushed them. Or they talked to me about it, I didn't want to talk about it, they pushed me. But this is what they said. That's the clear trumpet call that people can march to, they can follow. And you get what you want, and they get to do what you want without feeling guilty, presuming they're good and would feel guilty if they did. And also, I have to throw in that it's good you're going to do the clear trumpet call. I'm presuming you will. We got New Year's coming up. Thanksgiving's a great time to talk about these with people you love. It's a meaningful conversation. Allow yourself that luxury to talk about something that a lot of people can't get to. Show the world you can do that. And if you haven't got the conversation down by Christmas, well, there's another, or Hanukkah, or whatever your holiday is in December, there's another opportunity. And by New Year's, make this a New Year's resolution. I tell people that in February, it's the dead of winter in Maine, and basically every February, set aside a Sunday or some day to just say, this is or make it Groundhog Day, make it something, but this is my day to double check. Am I all set? Do I have it together? Do I like what I did before? Have I talked to people when I go on a trip? Does the person I've designated know where to find my paperwork? I know one person in this room, I work with her, and she has the file right on her desk, and people know where it is. She is so organized. I'm not that organized. But you aren't either. So anyway, the first thing is, who are you going to pick? Other conversations I hear from family members is, I don't want to pick one over the other. And what I've said is, as a teacher, I truly believe all of us come in with a gift. And nature abhors a vacuum. We figure out where we can go, where we matter. That's what we all do as human beings. Every one of your children, every one of your adults in your life, every one of your children, they have a gift. So one would be better at making medical decisions because they're calmer and they listen better. It might mean that the other one is good at something else. And what an example I give is, if you've got one who is going to be dutiful and reliable and get to the emergency room or get to the doctor's office fast and really read and honor what you're saying, respect them and let them know that you're choosing them. But if someone else's nose is going to be out of joint, what you might say is, you've always been better at these things. And one example is keeping the family peace. You've always had a way to joke and keep, and these are going to be emotional times. And when emotion happens, logic sometimes doesn't happen. So would you please just take the role, which I consider, you might say, I consider a more important role, keeping the family peace. Somebody else will make sure my wishes are honored with my medical care, but you have this important role. So give others other roles. Everybody has a gift, and just speak to them about their gifts and the role you'd like them to take when otherwise emotions take hold and rivalries come forward and do what you can to keep the peace. That's, in my opinion, would be a lovely gift you give to the people that around you at that, what can be a very lovely passing at the end, or well, when you're sick or when you need their help, and then passing. It can be a peaceful time, it often is. And it's the mature people that I think know how to, have dared to talk about the issue, and they're prepared. Okay? So designating a person, I don't know what your concerns are, but those are what I have found to be people's concerns. So walking through, first is you say, this is my power of attorney. First line, who do you name as your agent? Next, where do they live? What's their home phone? And then and you can put two names in there. You are the masters of your fate. You get to say what you want. Yes?
If you do this and then say 6 months later something's changed, you are not bound to this one. You can redo it.
Absolutely. And revoke, what you want to do is revoke the earlier one. Make sure you revoke it.
So then you just get another form, tear this up?
That would be one, and also make sure any other forms out there I revoke.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So you can fill in more names than one. Sometimes it's thought that, in what I've heard on a seminar recently, if you have bickering siblings, they're probably going to, one presenter said, they'll probably bicker no matter what. Do what you can to keep the peace. I think that's what really we want. That's, I think, the kind of health care we want, peace. And the next is option, which says, if I revoke my agent's authority, or if my agent is not willing, then I name so-and-so. Okay, that's called a successor agent. Okay, and then again you put the name and address and phone number. Next is on the top of page 2, and again, yes?
I just have a question on the first page around addresses. If people's address and state change, then is that very important to reissue it, or does it just make it clear that that was that person, so people know who you're referring to?
Okay, the question is if there's an address change of the agent you designate, it is the agent, that's what matters. If you want to, for the clear trumpet call, you probably want to attach a little staple to the end, so-and-so address has changed, it is now this. So if the doctor gets it, it's like, okay, the power of attorney, where is Jane Doe? Oh, she's not there. Okay, good, she's here. I know how to find her. Just keep it updated. You can do that by stapling. But if it's the same agent, you can just staple the new address. Or you really don't want to go back and doctor any legal document after you've signed and it's been witnessed. You want to let people know this was added, okay? So staple it and attach. Okay, so agent's authority, and I'm going to read, and those out there who don't have the form in front of them, don't worry, we're going to walk you through it and just listen, and when you do get the form, it won't all be sound like a foreign language, hopefully. Okay, agent's authority. My agent is authorized to make all healthcare decisions for me, including decisions to provide, withhold, withdraw artificial nutrition and hydration, and all other forms of healthcare to keep me alive, except as I state here. And I've heard conversations that run the gamut, everything from very much limiting what that person's power is, to saying, no, I like the broad, I trust this person, I know that they're not going to exploit any opportunity, I'm fine without making any exceptions, okay? And any questions? Okay, next is when the authority becomes effective. Turns out you get to say it's effective immediately. The presumption now is that we say it's effective immediately because then it's always effective. It's always good to go when the emergency happens. If anything were to happen to us as we go home tonight, it would be good effect immediately. So if we're in a hospital and can't talk, it will be good effect. It's called durable. It's durable instantly.
But it's not effective as long as you are able to communicate yourself.
No, the question is, if you are able to communicate, it's not effective. Absolutely, it is effective, unless you put the exception. It only becomes effective upon my incapacity.
So in other words, if I put an agent...
Yep, if you made me your agent...
You could decide that I
Right, but if you're there able to talk, the doctor or the institution will be hearing you. Well, right, I can't say, you know, they will not ask you, but, you know, realistically, the medical authorities or hospitals turn to a power of attorney for medical care when the person himself or herself cannot communicate. But that's a good question. It's effective immediately, and say you were communicating but the doctor didn't understand you and I was your agent, I could say, I think this is what she's saying, I'm the power of attorney, and the doctor could rely on what I'm saying and not worry that he or she was giving me too much credit for what your opinions were.
So that obviously means that I have already discussed with you.
It doesn't, it hopes that, yes, and that's the beauty of these documents. It encourages the conversation, okay? So number 3 is when an agent's authority becomes effective. The presumption is immediately, but then it says if I mark this box, you have to put an X in that little box. My agent's authority to make healthcare decision me takes effect immediately. Okay, so most of us older ones, I'm now calling myself that, is we do that immediately. Younger ones tend not to. That's a generalization, but they are still thinking they'll live forever. Okay, and another thought is if you. I heard another presenter recently say that if you worry that somebody might be too quick to use this power when you give them this power to be your agent, just one presenter said, just don't give them the document until later. They don't have a copy of the document. I would hope that we could all have a conversation with somebody, or at least, basically they'll honor what we say, and if we have any question, we document what exactly our wishes are for when it becomes effective. We get to blow that trumpet and decide which way the followers are to follow us. Which direction are we going? This is our power. We are the principals. We get to dictate and what we want for our decisions around us. If I don't forget, once you get this done, I say keep a copy in your glove compartment, keep a copy in your suitcase, get a copy to your doctors, get it to your educators. Copies are good, and keep a copy where it can be handy. If you're being called, if you're an agent for somebody and you get a call, I don't practice what I preach, but I'd like to think that something was in my glove compartment, so when I got to the hospital, I was right there ready if there's any questions. And but maybe
They will respect a copy?
yes. The question is, will medical authorities respect copies? Yes, copies are allowed by statute. Okay. Agent's obligation. Okay, this is common sense, but let me read it. My agent shall make healthcare decisions for me in accordance with this power of attorney for healthcare and any instructions I give. It goes on, but that's the gist. Okay. And when we'll go through it quickly today, and when you all have your copies, people who are listening on this website, when they get their copies, all of them are, this is the format that's pretty general and everything in all main powers of attorney that you can get at hospitals or online. It breaks it down into these parts. So that's agent's obligation. Next is nomination of guardian. What's a guardian? A guardian is, we're getting into probate court, and a guardian is I call it, my words, is a notch up in terms of it's a court order designating somebody to make decisions for you. Some people say that these documents are of equal importance. So be it. And the beauty of these documents is you don't need a court order. If you can get a lawyer, get a lawyer. But these are non-judicial legal documents that you can do tonight. And then you will have people listening to you. That's a pretty huge opportunity. I happen to think every kid before they graduate from high school, once they turn 18, should have to do one of these. And if they haven't done it by then, absolutely by the time we qualify for Medicare. get your medical power of attorney done. Too many people don't get these done. When they don't get them done, say something, an emergency were to happen to any one of us, and the doctor turns to somebody by my bed when I can't talk and says, I can't make the decision because she can't communicate and I don't feel safe making the decision based on what you're saying, go get a guardianship in court. So the next day, that person has to go down to probate court. No big deal, but it does take a day, and it does cost money, and it does take time. So they'll fill out a petition for guardianship, and all other interested parties in the family will get copies of the petition, and then there'll be a hearing, and people come to court, and the judge will hear from all sides if there's differing opinions, and then the judge will issue an order. That takes time. It's a judge, and we have probate courts for this purpose. It's our honor to do that, to be there for you. But these advance directives, a medical power of attorney and a financial power of attorney, they're basically saying you have it all done already on your own. Okay? So these are wonderful opportunities. Does everyone follow that?